Hey guys, so this is the first live stream I've done this year. I think the last one was maybe a week before Christmas, and been pretty busy with other projects. See if I can move some cords around. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining. Today I am I'm finishing a Beaker from the Muppet Show drawing, as you can see here. Got about halfway finished with it. So, actually I'm pretty far along with the inks on this one. I recently bought a new brush. This is a Winsor Newton Series 7 number 2 brush. And I'm still kind of breaking it in. I've used this type of brush pretty much for my entire career, with a few exceptions. There was a time when I used a Croquill pen. I've talked about this before, but can't seem to get the same results from those pens last few years, so I switched over to using a brush pretty much for everything. I mean, I'll use some other pens as well. I don't have to be super precise with this with the line work here, just because, you know, he's a Muppet, right? So it's all felt and kind of a fabric-y kind of texture. So I'm trying to retain that a little bit. This isn't like drawing a Disney character or other animated characters. There's actually some texture happening here with this one. I've never drawn a Muppet before, so this is definitely new territory for me. And since there's not a lot of detail in a Muppet as far as texture, I'm going to just try to add a little bit here just to fill out the line art a bit so it doesn't look so empty. I am going to color this, and of course there'll be a lot more happening with the color in terms of shading and all of that. But I like the original art to also have a lot of depth to it, if possible, and so I'm just going to kind of add a little bit to this. It looks like I smeared his eye a little bit. I'm going to have to fix that up. I always ink from right to left because I'm left-handed, and that typically eliminates any kind of inking smears or whatnot, but not always, obviously. I'm going to have to do a little bit of cleanup on that. Clean up aisle 4 on the inking. Oops. Here we go. This piece will go up for sale over on my eBay store probably next week. I'm going to color it. I usually offer the original art and a color print. Let's deal with his hair a little bit here. Hey, Angie. It's been pretty cold. I think it was 38 this morning, and I haven't seen the latest forecast, but there was talk that we may actually get snow on Saturday, tomorrow, but I don't know if that forecast is going to change. But I'm kind of hoping that we do, just because that would be really cool. How about you? How is it up in Ohio? I assume it's bitter cold right now. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll probably wait until March or April to come up and visit. I don't think I'm going to do another January visit. I think I did that. I did that a couple years in a row, and it was really kind of brutal when you're not used to it. Did you have to shovel snow out of your driveway or any of that? because that's never fun. So welcome new viewers. I was mentioning at the start of the live stream that this is the first live stream I've done since December. Just kind of got really busy with other stuff, and fortunately I think I've got a pretty decent streamlined setup now where I can not have to spend a lot of time preparing to go live. That was always a real challenge before, but I think I have things set up pretty well in my studio at this point. Get some more detail on his hair. I'm trying to put in as much detail as I can here because these characters are really pretty simple. So I want to lean into the texturing of the Muppet fabric. And I think this is going to turn out to be pretty funny because it's sort of this somewhat serious render of this ridiculous character. But that's how I wanted to approach it. Just to draw Beaker and ink Beaker in the way that I would draw any character. Treat the character with reverence. And I guess they're bringing the Muppet Show back, and it sounds like it's going to be more of a really in line with the original format of the show, which I think is a really smart thing to do. I think they try to do some other stuff over the years that didn't really land that well. And I think it'll be interesting to see, because it's of course a total nostalgia trip for my generation, but hopefully they can balance it and bring in new viewers and it'll become a thing again. I remember watching the Muppet Show. They had, I think, repeats. I think they were reruns that ran after school. Like, I don't know, like 5 o'clock or something. Some kind of weird early evening. And I would watch it even in high school, which I don't know what that says about me, but I would always watch it, even as a teenager. I just thought it was hilarious. I haven't seen it in many years, so I'm not sure how it holds up today. Yeah, I don't remember if it was PBS or if it was one of the syndicated stations. Kind of feel like it was one of the syndicated stations that had it, was running the old ones. I don't know. Don't remember. It might have been PBS. nose is pretty fuzzy. I think I'm going to add some a little more detail to that. Maybe a little bit of dry brush there. I think the Muppet Show is actually, I don't know, maybe it was one of the first so-called kids programs that also really aimed at adults in the humor, kind of like the way Simpsons really did that years later. And of course now there's just a whole slew of animated shows that are really designed to, there's like the kid humor that the kids get, and then there's the adult humor that the kids won't, that it'll just sort of go over their heads. And maybe Muppet Show was the first to do that, because I remember there were a lot of little jokes and things that seemed to be kind of I don't want to say double entendre or anything like that, but like it could appeal to adults also. Yeah, PBS was always a little spotty growing up. Sometimes it was really clear, and but I think sometimes it didn't come in that great. And then my dad installed an antenna on the house that was just this gigantic thing that must have, I don't know, it must have been like 10 foot high on the roof. It looked like a satellite from a space station to me as a kid. I remember him up there building it and installing it. I think that's when our TV reception became a lot better. But we generally only picked up three stations and PBS sometimes. That was kind of our range. Did you? I distinctly remember that Dad up there installing it. I think we helped him to some extent. I'm not sure how much it actually improved our reception, but it probably did. Alright, I gotta fix that ink smear because it's really bugging me. And I'm really kind of not feeling great about that, because I typically never make those kinds of mistakes inking, and I did. So when that does happen, there's a couple of ways to go about it. One is to just straight up put whiteout over it, which may be the route I go, but I like to try to scrape the ink off first. I try to avoid whiteout just because it doesn't have a clean look for the original art. But then scraping it's very tricky too, because you don't want to gouge the paper, or create holes. It's got to be a very carefully scraped thing, so you're not really scraping the paper itself, you are just lifting up that ink. I may still have to put a little bit of whiteout here. I was supposed to start the live stream at 2, and then I had technical issues that I had to figure out. I think I'm going to try to start doing these in the afternoon instead of the morning. I just don't think there's enough people that are around that early. There you go. Good as new. Find my water. Guess I left my water downstairs. All right. I think that's sufficient for the brushwork anyway on there. I don't want to overwork it. All right, so I'm just gonna add some tiny little fiber, kind of fibrous lines here with the pen. Somewhere out there is a Muppet fan who's gonna buy this. So I just want to make it as unique as possible. I don't know if there's much in the way of Muppet art. I know that who was it? Bruce McCorkindale does a lot of these Muppet commissions, and they're pretty funny. He takes scenes from, well, he'll be commissioned. Someone will commission him to draw usually famous scenes from movies, and he'll just do like a 1 panel or a 3 or 4 panel drawing, and they're pretty funny. He's definitely the Muppet guy. I'm not trying to infringe on his market at all. I don't expect this to be anything more than a one-off. Actually, I worked with Bruce a little bit at Malibu Comics. He was also an inker, so our paths kind of crossed a couple of times on books. He actually, I'll give Bruce a little plug. He does a lot of cover recreations, which is insane what he does. He literally takes these classic covers, and I'm pretty sure they're commission pieces as well, and he will recreate them, and they look amazing. They look really good. I mean, just about identical to the original. Like, he'll take a Kirby, Avengers cover or something, just really something that's worth thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars in the case of some of the really old stuff. So he is the guy to go to for that. I did one a few years ago for somebody, and it was a really obscure thing. It was a double page spread from The Fly, which was this book. I think it was in the 60s, and I did a recreation from it, and that was kind of a fun project. But man, I would not want to do that. I don't think I could do that on a regular basis. That would make me crazy. But Bruce is really, really good. Bruce McCorkindale. If you look him up, I'm sure you can find all sorts of examples. Let's just do a little more on the hair. Beaker is such a well-dressed fellow with his shirt and tie and lab coat. And his perpetually terrified expression. So I started this on a, there's this live stream drawing that a friend of mine does on YouTube, and it's called 30-Minute Comic Book Chaos, and it's run by Tommy Florimonte, who is the owner of Kablam, which is basically the printer for independent publishers, small self-publishers and whatnot. Kablam is they're just kind of the go-to printer. I'm just plugging all kinds of people today. Anyway, he invited me to the show, and they have, I think, they usually have 4 or 5 other artists, and they just do 30 minutes, and they pick a subject, and everybody kind of does their own take on that, on whatever that character is. And the first one I did, the first show I did was Doctor Who. That was the subject. So I drew a Doctor Who, the Tom Baker Doctor Who, and I ended up finishing that up later, devoted more time to it, and sold that one. And then the last one I did was the Muppet Show. So you had to pick a Muppet character, or I guess a Jim Henson character, to be precise, because I know there were some people that I think somebody did something from the Dark Crystal. Anyway, so that's kind of where this started. I don't think I would have ever just decided, hey, I think I'm going to draw Beaker from the Muppet Show. That's where this came from. And so I decided to, like the Doctor Who thing, I decided to really refine it and finish it up. I mean, this is pretty well done, I think. There's not a lot left here, and I don't want to overwork it. I think we're at a good spot. So I'm gonna sign it. Grab my pencil. Shouldn't wear my glasses when I'm drawing. See better without them. $20.26. I think this is the first. Well, I've drawn a couple of things so far this year, but they were not. They were more of sketches. This is really the first full illustration of the year, and my first live stream of the new year. So there you have it. I'm going to see if I can pan back here a little bit without screwing up my setup, so you guys can kind of get the full picture. There he is. So I think that's it for the live stream today. I'm going to try to do a longer one next week. This one did not run for quite an hour, but I am planning to get back into doing these on a regular basis. So thanks for hanging out. I appreciate your support. Head over here so I can close the stream out. Got so many cords here. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I will see you soon. And if you haven't yet, I hope that you will check out the links there on the bottom left of the screen that is popping up. I've got an eBay store with new items listed weekly. Original art prints, signed comics, and you can also sign up to my Patreon page from there as well. And if you missed it, the links are in the comments on the recorded stream. So have a great weekend. See you back here soon.